Hey, just getting out of Rampage. I know you're jealous, right? I just saw Rampage. First initial reaction, mediocre. However, that defies my expectations here.
Good morning, welcome to Movies Over Coffee. I am Jay of thejaycraig. Rampage is a movie based upon the 1980s arcade stand-up video game. The one where the three big monsters climb up buildings, fighting the army, and destroying buildings. That essentially is, no, not essentially, that is the video game. And they made a movie about that. So this movie has no business being made. Much like something like Battleship or Super Mario Brothers. You name the video games or the board games these days that are being made into video games, and they don't need to be made. But the reason why we're going to see a movie like Rampage is because we want to see big monsters destroying a city. Mediocre was how I described it as I walked out of the theater, and that pretty much stands true right now. It's a mediocre movie at best, but it is a lot of fun. So maybe I become that guy where I can go into a movie and enjoy it, even though it's not that good. Because it's not that good. But it is a lot of fun. Rampage stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and a bunch of CGI monsters. The movie is about two villains who are very paper thin, who created this genetic material, and it's supposed to infect animals and make them big and large and nasty and grow at exponential rates and become vicious. And they're going to somehow make money on this. Now, this material falls to Earth after a space station accident, I guess you can call it. And then it infects three different animals on Earth, and that's who the lizard, the wolf, and the gorilla. And those are the ones who are going to be rampaging throughout the city. The story really is ultimately about George and The Rock and whether or not The Rock will be able to save his friend. So it's kind of a bromance between beast and man. And that essentially is what the movie is truly about, is will The Rock save his friend George? Will George make it out of this, or will he just become another monster that's destroying the city? Now, let's talk about the characters. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is someone who I actually really enjoy watching. He's got great screen presence. He's got a great personality. He's got good comedic timing. He's got a lot of charisma. And I like watching him. I don't see all his movies because I don't like the material he chooses, but I do enjoy The Rock, even in his wrestling days. Now, I always thought of The Rock as the Arnold Schwarzenegger of today because he's a big, bulky guy. He's always in action movies and in comedic action movies, or comedies for that matter as well. But he just has that same type of personality and presence and charisma. Reminds me of Arnold. But in this movie, I think they just forgot how to write a screenplay or didn't care, because everything that we know about this character is told to us verbally, just told to us. The fact that he doesn't like people, the fact that he loves animals, the fact that he has a history in the military, the fact that he's a poacher hunter. All the stuff that makes his character kind of cool is just told to us. Nothing's shown, it's just verbalized, and it's just very, very poor screenwriting. And then you have Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who is having an awful lot of fun in this movie. They talk about chewing up the scenes, chewing up the dialogue. He is chewing up the dialogue in this movie and having a lot of fun spitting it out. However, I think he's having too much fun, where he becomes a little larger than life. But he is having fun, and that's one thing I liked about the movie, was that these people making the movie were having a lot of fun making it, and they weren't taking themselves too seriously. Now, where they should have taken themselves a little more seriously is in the villain department. These are two of the worst villains you're going to see. Super paper thin. There is no dimension to them. They are siblings. They own a big conglomerate corporation, and they just care about money. That's it. I mean, it's pretty dull. I mean, there's nothing going on in the villain department. You don't care. You don't even care if they bite it at the end, because they're inconsequential. They're just money makers, and they just are doing things for no reason. Now you have some other characters. You have a female scientist who has something to do in the movie, but she's only there because the screenplay needs her to be. The one character I actually did care about was George the gorilla. I cared whether or not George was going to make it out of this or not. I felt for his character. I liked the relationship that he had with The Rock. So there is some good stuff there, and that for me was the heart of the story, was George and The Rock and whether or not George was going to make it out of this or not. But outside of that, I didn't care about any of the humans in the movie. Because we're not there to see the humans. We're there to see big monsters destroying buildings. I get it. I get it. Now, the one thing that surprised me was how much they weren't taking themselves too seriously. They're having a lot of fun with this movie. And it's not a kid's movie at all. It is kind of juvenile at moments. There's a lot of crude humor, a lot of vicious death sequences, mostly played for laugh. Some graphic violence, not gory necessarily, not gory at all, but very graphic deaths, and again, most of them played for laughs. So it's not a kid's movie, but I did enjoy watching it. I had fun with it. It's something that I'm going to forget about. I'm not going to think about this movie afterwards, except for right now. And you know, it's not made for that. Ultimately, you know why you're going to see this movie. You don't need me to tell you that it's going to be a bad movie. It's a popcorn summer movie. You know what's at stake here. You're going to see big monsters. Get through the first 3/4 of the movie, and you're going to have some fun with the craziness that happens at that point. So, I hope you enjoyed this edition of Movies Over Coffee. I'm Jay the J Craig. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us, and leave me your comments below. I'd like to hear what you're thinking about it. Are you planning on going to see it? Have I helped you? Have I deterred you from seeing it, or helped you go see it? Whatever the case may be, leave me your comments below. Until next time. Bye.